They were smoking something serious when they came up with this show.
Seen it once, don't remember when. Think it's time to watch it again. Follow, subscribe, stay up to date. Episodes drop the last Friday. It's a Matt, forgot that. It's a Matt, forgot that. It's a Matt, forgot that podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Matt Forgot That podcast, the place to recollect and reminisce. I'm your host, Matt Seroski, filmmaker, film fan. Each episode, I'm going to rewatch and review a movie or TV pilot that I've seen before but don't quite remember. It could be a blockbuster, critic's choice, or cult classic. To join in on the conversation, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Matt Seroski. You can subscribe to my YouTube page where I'll post videos and clips from the show. If you have any opinions on what I've reviewed or want to share your own trip down memory lane, use the hashtag MattWatchThat on social. Before we start, I wanted to review a movie that was recently released in theaters. If you follow my Instagram page, it shouldn't come as a surprise, but I've got some additional thoughts. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire has everything that fans of the franchise want to see on screen. The new and original cast members seamlessly gelled and shined in their scenes together. I'm glad Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd had more significant screen time this time around. James Acaster was a nice surprise to see in the movie. With a lot of British comedians, I'm not always a fan of their stand-up routine, but his appearances on panel shows are usually pretty brilliant. He has a couple of memorable stories on Would I Lie to You that everyone should check out. I'll post a couple of clips. I like how the filmmakers expanded the lore of the Ghostbusters by modernizing some of the equipment, like using a converted drone as a ghost trap. They also took a lot of inspiration from the animated show, The Real Ghostbusters, which was one of my favorite Saturday morning cartoons. Where the movie falls a little short, and what the 2016 reboot got right, yeah, I said it, is the goofiness factor. The original movies were silly, and it'd be nice to see some of that incorporated into these films. Both this and Afterlife focused on some family drama, which was fine, but forgettable in the scheme of things. The direction was a bit chaotic, especially during action sequences or when filming visual effects. The camera seems to move unnaturally fast, but I liked that the CGI had a more nostalgic look that was similar to the original movies. Overall, I really enjoyed the film. Don't listen to the reviews, well, except this one, and the 86% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. And judging by the in-credits scene, it looks like there's more to come. On to the main attraction. Each review will end with a ranking out of 5 stars. 1 star is skip it, 2 stars watch at your own risk, 3 stars standard fare, 4 stars worth checking out, and 5 stars must see. Now, if I give a title 5 stars, it doesn't mean I'm comparing it to Casablanca, Jaws, or Seinfeld. I rank titles based on other movies or TV series in that genre and at that time period. In this episode of the podcast, I'm rewatching and reviewing A Few Good Men from 1992. It was directed by Rob Reiner, who started as an actor in the groundbreaking All in the Family. He would transition behind the camera for 2 TV movies, Sonny Boy and Likely Stories Volume 1, before moving to the big screen with This Is Spinal Tap. While a moderate success when first released, it has since become a cult classic. The screenplay was written by Aaron Sorkin, who scribed The American President, Charlie Wilson's War, Moneyball, and Molly's Game, and was the creator of series Sports Night, The West Wing, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, and The Newsroom. He won an Oscar for Best Writing, Adapted Screenplay for The Social Network. It stars Tom Cruise as hotshot lawyer, Lieutenant Daniel Kaffee. His films have grossed over $4 billion in North America, which includes the Mission Impossible, Jack Reacher, and Top Gun franchises. He successfully crosses genres with coming-of-age movies The Outsiders and Risky Business, sci-fi flicks Edge of Tomorrow and War of the Worlds, fantasies Legend and Interview with the Vampire, musical Rock of Ages, mystery Lions for Lambs, comedies Jerry Maguire and Tropic Thunder, dramas Rain Man and the Firm, and action films The Last Samurai and Minority Report. He's been nominated for 3 Acting Academy Awards for Born on the 4th of July, Jerry Maguire and Magnolia. He could be the industry's last movie star. Jack Nicholson portrays defiant Colonel Nathan R. Jessup. The Jersey native was raised by his grandparents, with his mother and aunt acting as his sisters. She was only 17 and unmarried, which was taboo for the time. He moved to California and took a job in the offices of Hanna-Barbera. He made his film debut in The Crybaby Killer from Roger Corman. He would work with the director for a decade and appeared in the cult classic Little Shop of Horrors. He's won 3 Academy Awards for acting in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Terms of Endearment, and As Good as It Gets, tying with Walter Brennan, Frances McDormand, Daniel Day-Lewis, Ingrid Bergman, and Meryl Streep. Katharine Hepburn leads the pack with 4. Demi Moore plays the proper Lieutenant Commander Joanne Galloway. She started her career as a fashion model before transitioning to acting. Her breakthrough was on the daytime soap opera, General Hospital, where she was cast as reporter Jackie Templeton for 112 episodes from 1982 to 1984. The next year, she appeared on the big screen in St. Elmo's Fire, which catapulted her into stardom as a member of the Brat Pack. But it would be the role of Molly Jensen in Ghost, which made her an A-list celebrity. The next decade would bring her the most success with Indecent Proposal, Now and Then, The Juror, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Striptease, and G.I. Jane. She was nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for the TV movie If These Walls Could Talk. A Few Good Men also features Kevin Bacon, Kiefer Sutherland, J.T. Walsh, Christopher Guest, Noah Wyle, and Kevin Pollak. This is what I remember. You can't handle the truth. One of the most iconic lines from film. It's ingrained in our pop culture to the point where people don't realize the origin of it. They just say it as a phrase. But it's odd to think that that's the only thing that's come out of this movie that's endured. You don't really hear people talking about A Few Good Men. So looking back on it, it'll be interesting to see if it's a movie that, from a dramatic standpoint, should be talked about more. Now I'm heading off to watch the movie. This is what I forgot. At the United States Naval Base, Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, Private William Santiago is awakened in the middle of the night and tied up. The next morning, his body is found dead. 2 Marines, Lance Corporal Harold Dawson and First Class Loudon Downey, are accused of the crime and face a court-martial. At Judge Advocate General's Court in Washington, D.C., Lieutenant Commander Joanne Galloway is requesting from Captain West to bring them up to Washington and be assigned to the case. Even though she's been working in internal affairs, there is some hesitation due to her supposed lack of litigation experience. Captain West agrees to have the defendants moved up in the morning, but will have Division assign them counsel. He believes that the case is beneath her, and they'll find the right man for the job. Enter Lieutenant Daniel Caffey, a wisecracking, fast-talking attorney, who's assigned the case with co-counsel Lieutenant Sam Weinberg. They're requested to visit Galloway at Internal Affairs for a briefing. Caffey wants to cut a plea bargain, but she believes there's more to the case than meets the eye. She wants a full report when they come back from Cuba. Here's a quote without context. You don't need to wear a patch on your arm to have honor. A Few Good Men is a captivating movie. The writing is excellent, which is no surprise coming from the winner of an Academy Award and 5 Primetime Emmys. What is surprising is that there were some funny pieces of dialogue. I think most people remember the intense courtroom scenes and forget those moments of levity. I mean, it's not a laugh riot. Kevin Pollak has some good one-liners, but I'm always impressed with stand-up comedians who can convincingly play dramatic roles. He has a good rapport with Tom Cruise. Their interplay is very natural. All of the acting is very strong. The characters are suited for these performers. Tom Cruise balances cockiness and competence. Demi Moore plays straight-laced and by the books. Jack Nicholson looks like he's on the verge of tearing you a new one. The whole cast did a great job, and this proves that there are no small parts. Even though it's over 2 hours, it goes by pretty fast. For a movie with a lot of dialogue, it keeps the viewer interested with a swift pace, proficient direction, and intriguing scenes. Now for a little trivial trivia. Jason Alexander was originally cast as Lieutenant Sam Weinberg, but had to leave the role when his new series, Seinfeld, was unexpectedly renewed. Stand-up Kevin Pollak was cast in his place. A Few Good Men was produced by Castle Rock Entertainment, Rob Reiner's company, which was named after a fictional town that appeared in several stories of Stephen King. It was filmed in California, at Naval Air Station Point Mugu, Fort MacArthur, San Pedro, and the beaches of Laguna and Newport, and in Washington, D.C., at Memorial Bridge, St. Elizabeth's Hospital, and Georgetown. The cinematography was captured by Robert Richardson, who was Academy Award nominated for Best Cinematography of Platoon, Born on the 4th of July, Snow Falling on Cedars, and Tarantino hits Inglourious Bastards, Django Unchained, The Hateful Eight, and Once Upon a Time in America, and won for JFK, The Aviator, and Hugo. It was co-edited by Robert Layton, who worked on coming-of-age movie Stand By Me, fantasy comedy The Princess Bride, sports comedy Bull Durham, and rom-com When Harry Met Sally, and Stephen Navias, whose filmography includes crime drama South Central and episodes of The Magicians and Justified. The score was composed by Mark Shaman, who wrote the music for thriller Misery, western comedy City Slickers, romantic drama The American President, and comedies The First Wives Club and Sister Act. He co-wrote the songs for South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, and the music to Broadway hit Hairspray. The soundtrack featured songs by Big Mama Thornton, Patty Loveless, UB40, and John Philip Sousa. The runtime is 2 hours 18 minutes. It had a budget of approximately $35 million and grossed $243 million at the box office. It was nominated for 4 Oscars at the 1993 Academy Awards for Best Film Editing, Sound, Actor in a Supporting Role for Jack, and Picture. On the Ski Index, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. If you've seen A Few Good Men and have opinions on the movie, let me know what you think using the hashtag #MattForgotThat. Moving right along, each episode, I'm going to post throwback clips that I think people should watch. It could be movie trailers, music videos, interviews, or something completely random. Search for my YouTube page and there'll be a playlist called Matt Forgot That Playback. Fraggle Rock was a children's fantasy series created by Jim Henson. Like most projects associated with him, it featured various Muppet characters with distinct personalities, musical numbers, and storylines involving exploring the world around them. The main characters are Gobo, the leader of the group, Wembley, Gobo's roommate and comic relief, Moki, a bohemian free spirit, Red, her best friend and athletic archetype, and Boober, the intelligent one. The Fraggles live underground that lead to interconnected caves. The space is also occupied by doozers, who spend their days constructing buildings made from doozer sticks, which is a favorite snack of the Fraggles. Occasionally, they'll venture up to see Marjorie the Trash Heap, who provides guidance to the Fraggles, but they can't stay for too long because she lives in the garbage dump of the Gorgs, consisting of Pa, Ma, and Junior, who try to capture them for stealing their radishes. Gerard Parks portrays Doc, an inventor who runs a workshop with his dog Sprocket, who tries to prove the existence of the Fraggles. Meanwhile, Gobo's uncle Traveling Matt explores the human world and sends postcards of his adventures. Now, did you get all that? They were smoking something serious when they came up with this show. It was the first original series aired on HBO, home box office, which was mostly known for theatrical movies at the time. It was a lot like the content HBO makes now, but there was less violence than Game of Thrones, fewer drugs than Euphoria, though not by much, and just about as much scheming as Succession. The Fraggles would make an appearance in a Muppet Family Christmas special, with other Henson creations from the Muppets and Sesame Street. In 1987, there was an animated series spin-off that lasted for 1 season, 13 episodes. In 2012, the Doozers had their own starring vehicle, which ran for 2 seasons, 72 episodes. A series of shorts featuring the Fraggles appeared on Apple TV, followed by a reboot series called Fraggle Rock, Back to the Rock. The original series was fun. It was definitely weird, but the colors were bright, the characters were energetic, and the humor was silly. All checkboxes for a perfect show for 80s kids. So I've selected a couple of clips from the series. They're all available in the Matt Forgot That playback playlist on YouTube. Check it out. Now it's time for the recommendation. Yes, that's the word recommendation with Matt in the middle. I'm going to end each podcast with my own recommendation of a nostalgic movie or TV series. Today I'm talking about The Sopranos. It tells the story of Tony Soprano, a mobster from New Jersey, who seeks counseling to deal with issues in his personal and professional lives. It stars James Gandolfini, Edie Falco, Jamie Lynn Sigler, and Robert Eiler as the family. It also features Michael Imperioli, Stephen Van Zandt, Tony Sirico, Dominic Chianese, Steve Sciarippa, Vincent Pastore, and Joe Pantoliano as the family. And of course, Lorraine Bracco portrays Dr. Jennifer Melfi. It was created by David Chase, who was a writer on The Rockford Files and Northern Exposure. It's the 25th anniversary of the show that changed TV and catapulted HBO into the leader of premium scripted content. It's often voted the best television series in history, and also the best television series in history with the worst ending. Now, I didn't watch the series when it was on, but I binged it recently. I thought the first 5 seasons were excellent. I was completely captivated. Everything was such high quality. Acting, directing, writing, cinematography, you name it, they got it. I couldn't wait to watch the next episode. But the first half of season 6 was trash. There were a couple of fantasy sequences while a character was in a coma. It's like, what are we doing here? It took me about 6 weeks to get through the first 5 seasons, and 6 months to get through that first half. I don't know how people felt about it at the time, but yeah. Though the second half of season 6 found its traction and went full speed ahead. Then it tried to parallel park. I know I'm not saying anything anyone hasn't heard before. It's an iconic series. It is funny to think back that before it premiered, people thought The Sopranos were about a bunch of singers, so they had to change the logo to include a gun to make it pretty clear that this wasn't a show about a bunch of Sarah Brightmans. The Sopranos was on for 6 seasons, 86 episodes from 1999 to 2007. Over its run, the show was nominated for 112 Primetime Emmy Awards, winning 21. A prequel movie, The Many Saints of Newark, was released in 2021, with Michael Gandolfini stepping into the role of a young Tony Soprano. That's all for this edition of Matt Forgot That. Thanks for listening to me reminisce. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Matt Seroski. You can subscribe to my YouTube page where I'll post videos and clips from the show. If you have any opinions on what I've reviewed or want to share your own trip down memory lane, use the hashtag MattForgotThat on social. Head over to mattseroski.com for all the latest news and updates, and come back next time for the rewatch and review. There is some hesitation for her lack of litigal experience. The Many Saints of Newark was released in 2021, with Michael Gandolfini stepping into the role of a young Sony Soprano. And in Washington, D.C., at Memorial Bridge, St. Elizabeth's Hospital. It's really tough to say. If you've seen A Good Few Men, let's try that one again.